Bedrosian throws to Sandberg, and the pitch is grounded to second base. Thompson has it, throws to first. It's over. 27 years of waiting have come to an end. The Giants have won the pennant.
All right, Brad, we are back on a Tuesday thanks to the holiday. So we pushed yesterday's show till today. I was still out of town, so it worked out for the best. But as we are recording, the Giants are playing the Phillies, and they are losing 1-0.
But that's okay, because we're 2-0 when we record and the game is on, so don't worry about it. We got this. It's all taken care of.
And the Giants almost got an umpire gift, but they got it overturned, so the Phillies did score the one run. You know, I'm not worried because for whatever reason, the last week version of the Giants, all they do is hit home runs. So there's going to be a couple home runs coming.
A couple of 3-run shots, right? Late,
so
8th or 9th inning.
So, we'll hit the latest news first. We're going to talk a little bit about Joc Pederson because how can you not, based on all the shenanigans happening last week? We'll talk about our player of the week. We'll talk a little bit about Gabe. Gabe was in the news. And you did something with the relievers to try and figure out if 3 specific relievers were any worse than they were last year, and we'll look at that. And while the game is going on, we'll update for folks, not because they're not also watching, but just because we won't be able to kind of we're just going to have to. If they score, we're going to have to say that they scored.
Yeah. All
right. So first things first. The news of the week that came out yesterday and today, Darren Ruff went on family leave. I believe there was a death in the family. And so he goes on the, I guess it's not technically the injured list, but he's on leave. And a good friend of ours, someone who we rooted for in a crazy way when he came up, but then he was sent down fairly quickly. Heliot Ramos is back. Are you ready to see what he can do in the short time that he will be on the team? Because he's not here to stay.
Yeah, and I'm excited because I stashed him for so long on my fantasy bench on our NA spot, our not available spot, with Ruff gone. And what happened is his father passed away unexpectedly. So we obviously send our well wishes to the Ruff family. That's never something you want to deal with, and send them our thoughts, and hope everybody hangs in there. And with Heliot Ramos back up, Giants need a right-handed bat, and his 2 at-bats tonight, he got robbed on some nice plays on both at-bats, hitting the ball hard, so that's always a good sign. And he was 6 for his last 12,
which is good.
in AAA before they called him up, so fantastic.
And what had happened is, so he goes down and he starts to really struggle as far as his batting average is concerned. And what happened is he was hitting the ball hard. He was just hitting it on the ground. He couldn't get the ball in the air. So he was just getting stuck with a lot of offers. And finally, he did start to turn it around before they brought him up. So it's good to see, because you like to see somebody like him who has maybe fallen out of like that top prospect list, but it's glad to see that he is in the mix, right? Like he's still in there. They need a right-handed bat, which is a very important part of their game when they face lefties. And they're like, yep, we can bring him back up. He's going to be fine. Rather than, there's other guys, and some of this might be because he's an outfielder. But like David Villar, right? Like he's tearing it up, and they're like, nope, we're going to stick with what we got. We trust that Ramos can come up here, and we have already seen what he's done. We know that he can continue to play the way that we need him to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we're talking to Thairo Estrada, it was hitting 240 just a couple of weeks ago. Now he's hitting 281 and just got another hit. He's 2 for 3 tonight. So watch out. The dude is on fire. If I had to pick a favorite player on the Giants right now, I think it would be Thairo Strada.
That's your guy?
That's my guy, man. I
Interesting.
love to watch him, former second baseman, so I love to watch the second baseman play. You know, lots of questions with Donnie Barrels leaving and LaStella being hurt. Like, basically, what can Thairo Strada do as a full-time player? And we're seeing it. He's got 20 ribs, 280 something batting average. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, good stuff. So hopefully we'll see maybe Thairo do a little something here while we're recording. Maybe we're good luck for the guy. So
I think so.
I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so let's talk about one Joc Peterson. Joc Peterson had not only a great week at the plate, he had a great week in the blogs.
Yeah.
He had a great week on Twitter. So let's talk about his week at the plate first, and then we'll talk about the goofy stuff with fantasy football. But so the Giants were coming off of getting boat raced by the Mets. They lost 13-3 against the Mets in a game where you were just like, gosh, not again. Like this is a good team. We're not playing well against good teams. And it was starting to look like that was going to continue. The Giants actually took a giant lead in that game. They were up 8-2. And then Lindor started. He hit a home run. He hit a shot down the line, which Joc Pederson turned into a triple, I think it was. But Joc himself was like, hey, I can afford to give up a double into a triple because I'm going to hit 3 home runs in this game. So he got it started early. Then he hit a deep drive into center field that was probably, I don't know, like 430 feet or something.
Yeah.
And then the Giants had given back up the lead, and he had a 3-run shot and tied the game, which allowed them to, even though they then went behind in the extra innings, they came back and scored in their extra innings to win. So he had such a fantastic game, all because, well, maybe somewhat related. He just was in his jock talking to Barry Bonds, no pants, just hanging out. I feel like if Barry, if Barry's in like his, probably wearing some slacks and a button up or a polo or something.
I'm sure like polo. He still had to show off the guns.
Yeah, I feel like I would have put on pants at least. I wouldn't have been hanging out in my jock.
Yeah. But you and I didn't play 162 games at the major league level year in and year out. So I don't know. I mean, that's probably the clubhouse uniform before a game. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, just know, Barry, if I ever get to meet you in person, I will not be in my jock.
He's thanking you privately. Yes. Thank you, Garrett.
So what did you think about the whole thing where, like, it wasn't even that Barry gave him any advice on hitting. It was more like sort of mentality, how to turn your brain off almost, in a sense. What was the advice?
Yeah, to look at every pitch individually as the pitch comes, just to give everything you've got on that one single pitch, not necessarily in at bat, but if you're looking fastball in, both cheeks, both thighs, both everything into it. And so his swings were just outrageous on that night. I want to say, was it Tuesday night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Monday night? No, Tuesday night.
Yep.
Just both cheeks into it. Every swing, every hack, he was just monster mashing the ball. It's not that he needs that much help, but we always talk about, and everybody always talks about, baseball is a mental sport. It really is. I mean, it's a grind. It's 500, 600 at bats. And staying in each at bat is just really, really difficult to do. I'm looking at Baseball Savant. I love that site too on MLB.com. It's baseballsavant.mlb.com if you ever want to go there and just look at some really fun numbers. So average exit velocity Joc Peterson is in the 99th percentile of the league right now. Hard hit percentage, 98th percentile. XWOBA, 99%. Barrel percentage, 99th percentile. The only two things he's really not good at, he's only in the 13th percentile in sprint speed. We didn't have to look that one up. And he's only in the 4th percentile in the entire league of outfielder jump.
Wow.
And again, those are two things we didn't really need to look up. Those are fielding stats. We kind of knew that when we got Joc Peterson.
Yes.
Exactly what it is we were getting. We are getting a hard mashing outfielder who can make some plays when he needs to. So yeah, having that little added extra mental boost from Barry Bonds, I think, was pretty awesome and kind of might have been what was needed, because the night before, we talked about his horrendous May that he was having, below the Mendoza line, just having a really, really rough May after the injury, the groin injury that happened in Washington, or I think before that, but then he missed a couple games in Washington, and then to come out, and now he's just crushing the ball. So I love to see that. I want to see Barry hang around the park a little bit more. Talk to Tyro Estrada. Estrada could have like 14 home runs by now if he had a little conversation.
By the way, Phillies just made a pitching change with one out in the 5th. Estrada was on, and then Babe Casale got a base hit. So
Babe.
Runners on first and second.
Babe. Somebody, I think somebody posted a picture of him in Casale and called him Tom Selleck because of that dirty mustache.
This is the last day for the mustaches, right?
Thank God. Yes, it is. And Yastrzemski said they're gone. He said they're gone. There's nothing. June 1st, you're not allowed to have one. So
I feel like for the Yasmanian Devil and Casale, like they've been hitting so well with the mustaches.
Well, Casale, I think, cursed himself because 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, he was just into it, had it for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And somebody asked him, is that going to be hanging around? And he said, oh no, June 1st, it is gone. Well, I don't know if he can do that now. I mean, he's crushing the ball.
Okay, so I guess we got to talk about it. Was it Friday night? I think it was Friday night, right? When all of a sudden we started seeing tweets about a fight between a Giants player and a Reds player. And
we're talking warm-ups. We're talking DP,
before the game even started.
Yeah, which is unheard of.
And then the story just kept getting more ridiculous. Tommy Pham slapped Joc Pederson. And then we learned that Tommy Pham slapped Joc Pederson over fantasy football waiver rules. And then we realized that the player in which Joc Pederson was trying to keep on his roster was none other than third string running back of the 49ers, Jeff Wilson Jr. And then Tommy Pham told us he was a big dog in Vegas.
Yes.
Thus, it meant more to him, I guess. And being a big dog in Vegas means that when you talk about fantasy football, you can slap the other person right in the face. He got a 3-game suspension, and it was like a made up story. I like if you had told me one of these stories is made up, Tommy Pham slaps Joc Pederson, and that's one of the options, I probably would pick that one no matter what these other crazy stories would have been.
Yeah. And then what the most surprising second part of the headline that we didn't see is Pham ends up in hospital because Joc Pederson actually held himself back. He said, violence is not the answer. I mean, I think he understood too. Like, we're talking about fantasy football, Allen Iverson, we're talking about fantasy football. And so I think Joc Pederson realized, this is not worth it, man.
Yeah.
And then Pham gets the 3-game suspension. I was telling the story to my wife, and my 13-year-old daughter was listening in, and we're going to Vegas in a week or 2 weeks. And she goes, well, I'm going to make sure I use that line when we're in Vegas. I'm going to tell people that I'm a big dog in Vegas and that I'm a high roller at most of the casinos. I like how he said, I think he said most of the casinos, right? Not all of them, just
Yeah.
most of them.
And I was in Vegas. I was like,
You were.
I was like, not only am I not a big dog in Vegas, I didn't even pull a slot machine handle once.
You sound like me because I live in Reno. I don't gamble. I go to Vegas. I don't gamble.
Yeah.
I like to go to the shows.
I didn't even,
which means I have to pay full price.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I don't gamble.
You're
I
not
gotta
spending
pay full
money there
price.
and then getting in
No.
for free. So I mean, you're a fantasy football commissioner for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
Has there ever been any real fights over that stuff? I mean, I know there's been some stickler arguments and, oh, this is supposed to be the rules. And, you know,
Yeah.
somebody cuts a player on accident. You know, maybe they were drinking a beer at midnight and kind of fat fingered something. They're like, no. And they wake up and they go, no, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
But like, has there been any horror stories being the commish there?
You know, we've had a couple of incidents. We had one guy way back. I don't know if you remember. I'm not going to name him, but he left the league. He's not. He won't be listening to this show. I can guarantee you that.
Okay.
But he left the league in 2006-ish, somewhere in there during that season, because he started trading running backs for kickers. and ended up with 5 kickers on his roster. And so and we don't play for money, but it's a fun league. It's a bragging right league. It's a 12-team league. It's competitive. We like to have fun. We have keepers. So I messaged them and I said, what's going on, man? What, are you not enjoying the league? Is there something going on that we could help you out with? And he just said, your rules are ridiculous. You don't value running backs. I'm going with kickers only. So I said, all right, you do what you got to do. And then he left the next week. Other than that, we've had spirited debates and arguments, but it's always for fun. And, we come to conclusions and I always put things to a vote. You have a problem? Hey, cool. Let's put it to a vote. Let's throw it out to everybody and see what happens. But I can say 100% that nobody has ever gotten slapped in our league because you tried to put somebody on the IR. But that's what I didn't understand either. He put somebody who wasn't on the IR on the IR. And I know in Yahoo it doesn't allow you to do that because Yahoo will choose the IR designation.
Right.
Then you could put the player on the IR. So I'm not sure how all that happened. That was a little strange, but was it worth a slap?
I think Giants just took the lead here.
Oh, did we? All right.
Yeah,
Well, you're ahead of me now.
Luis Gonzalez, bases loaded, double to knock in 2.
Oh, nice. There's another big time player. There it is. Oh yeah, a little bit behind you. There's another big time player, man.
How do they send him down again when they need it?
Well, that's the thing. It pissed him off.
Yeah.
And you got Duggar and you got, we'll talk about them, but we got Duggar and Slater heading their way back fairly soon.
Belt's coming back soon.
Belt's coming back. There's going to be some roster shuffles, man. Let's go here we go again, right?
All right. Let's get down to the nitty gritty here.
All right.
What are we drinking today?
I've got water. No, I'm kidding.
I do too. I had some extra, so I got water too.
There you go. Nice. I got with my favorite here. This is my go-to. This bottle is like $15, and it's won all kinds of blind taste tests.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Williams bottled in bond. If you need just a regular old everyday stock
Bourbon?
stock it in the cupboard, and it's not going to break the bank, but it is going to be very, very good. That's the one to go with. Put it in the Kentucky bourbon glass.
So you're drinking it straight.
Just straight, 2 ice cubes, because you know what? I've really cut back on the drinking.
Mm-hmm. I wished I kind of, for the most part, unless I have a glass of wine with my wife, I kind of just save the alcohol for this show.
Yeah, and I think over the last like 2 months or so, I've really, really cut back to like maybe 2 or 3 drinks a week. And so, it's hitting me. I feel it because it's been a while since I've had one.
Yaz
But
just missed a home run by like
Ah,
2 or 3 feet.
oh, there it goes.
They
Yeah.
scored sac fly, so the Giants are now up 3-1.
All right, there we go. I'm gonna hit the go live button and see if
See if
that
you
brings
catch
me
up.
Nope. I use the NBC Sports Bay Area app, and I think there's another app you're supposed to be using, but
I just use my
Still
Hulu
works.
app, so
oh, okay.
and
Yeah, see,
usually I'm behind everybody. So
yeah, and I have DirecTV, and I think if I use that app and try to watch the Giants game on it, then it's a complete mess. So I use
Oh.
the Sports Bay Area app. So what do you got? What are you drinking?
all right, so you remember my highball glass that
I
I
do.
purchased, the 2 of them, this
Yeah.
giant thick glass.
I love those, man.
So I've been kind of going back and forth on the highballs. I liked the rye, the Johnny Walker rye. And then I also have some Suntory Toki Japanese whiskey.
Oh,
And so I threw that in there, made a highball. And I always just like a little bit of lemon juice in it as well. It just, for whatever reason, it just, that little tartness, I dig it a lot. But your Evan Williams thing. So I was at a party. It was more like just a bunch of folks getting together and drinking. And one of the guys said that his favorite, I was talking about mixing drinks, and like I just usually have Jack Daniels around just because if I'm going to mix something, I like mixing it with Jack Daniels.
oh yeah.
And he said Evan Williams was his go-to. He's like, it's cheap, it's good, you don't have to mess around, like just always have it with you, no matter what, because you're just, it's just such a utility liquor.
Is that the standard Evan Williams though?
Yeah, he said the standard one.
Yeah, so the standard one's $11.99, I think, for a bottle this size. What is $7.50? So it's $11.90. This is $15.99.
So it's bond.
Yeah, bottled in bond, and that's what they used to do. So it's bottled under U.S. government supervision, and I believe there was some sort of taxation law back in the day, and they started doing bottled in bond. So money from this actually goes to the military. And so anytime you see a bottled in bond, because there are a couple different brands that are bottled that do a bottled in bond as well. But this one has a flavor to it that is definitely different than the regular Evan Williams. And I also have the Evan Williams, I think it's the single cask, and that one is even a step up, but that's like $30 for the bottle.
Got it.
Yeah, so $15, and then you can get for like $20. You can get the one that's double this size. And I used to keep that one on hand, but then I got the old. How many bottles of bourbon do you need? And how much room do you need to take up in our cupboards?
Yeah, but as I drinking a little bit less, like all of a sudden I have more than usual.
Yeah, and that's the thing, was when you finally do have it, you're like, oh, I'm gonna indulge a little bit. Now the test is going to be when I go to Vegas for an entire week.
Right.
Did that test you pretty good while you were there? Although you were doing a lot of shows.
Yeah, I was running around. The only time I had more than I had one drink Friday night, but I had a few drinks on Saturday for sure. And so here, like, this is a total Vegas thing, right? Which is, it was 10:30 a.m. and we were at an event, and my buddy had just got some bad news, so he's a little bummed out.
Oh.
And we were both at the bar, and there was a bar at 10:30 a.m.
Of course.
And we were like, Crown on the Rocks? And I was like, sure. And it's like, it's Vegas brain, because in that same scenario, if I'm anywhere near home, like that's obviously a no. Like,
that's
like
a problem.
Yeah, it's like, no, why would anybody? But when you're in Vegas,
10 o'clock in the morning,
when you're in Vegas, it's like, oh yeah, like there's no reason not to, right? So it's like Vegas brain. And then we went to that party, and I had a couple, because it was my birthday, so they
Oh, there you go. Hey, happy birthday. When was your birthday?
Oh, thank you. Saturday.
God damn it. I don't have it on my calendar. How about I
So
fix that?
so a friend had bought me a bottle of the Terramana Añejo. And so I had a little bit of that, but I just shared it with everybody so that everybody could have it. Yeah, it was fun. But yeah, so Saturday, but Friday light, Sunday light, and it was just Saturday, so I was fine.
Yeah, it's going to be a test because when we're there, we've looked at of course it's 2 weeks away, so the weather is not always accurate, but we're looking at 103 to 106 highs during the day, and we're going to be at a pool most of the time. So that's going to be the big test right there. But I already told Denise, pick up when next time you go to the store, just get like as many 6-packs as you can of the Starbucks Nitro cold brew because there's no calories in that.
Yeah,
it's just nice and cold. Caffeine. I'll throw those in the. I have a Grogu tumbler, baby Yoda
Baby
tumbler.
Yoda.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay.
Yes. All right.
Did you watch Obi-Wan?
No, not yet.
Okay, good. I haven't watched it either. So
okay, the kids were not interested. Denise is definitely interested. So we got to get the timing right. We did watch The Batman this weekend.
Okay, good.
Fantastic.
My son said it was his favorite superhero movie of all time. JJ.
It was awesome. And Batman's my favorite superhero of all time. And so I'm very particular about my Batman stuff. And that was near the top.
You had no problem with Cedric Diggory or Edward the Vampire being Batman?
I did not. I don't know who played Commissioner Gordon, but he was fantastic. I'm not sure the name of the actor, but just, oh man, the whole movie was just moody and had some Tim Burton kind of little homages thrown in there, and I really enjoyed it. And then we introduced the kids to Stranger Things last night.
Okay.
First episode last night. I've seen season 1 and 2. I missed 3, and then 4 just came out. So we started with episode 1, season 1 last night, and they were into it. They enjoyed that. So yeah. But we're gonna get to Obi-Wan. We're working our way through Mandalorian right now. This will be the second time for me. And then we're going to watch Boba Fett, which I've already seen. Then I
couldn't get through it. I stopped, I think, at episode 3 or 4. It was too boring for me. Yeah.
Oh, you got to keep going. You have to keep going.
I heard
you've seen Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, I watched Mandalorian all the way through.
Well, then you have to watch this because the second half of the first season of Boba Fett is the Mandalorian season 3, basically.
Oh, okay. So maybe I do need to pick it up. But man, it was slow.
It's a rough one with the Tusken Raiders at the beginning and the whole, Shaolin monk theme and all that. It was a bit of a drag, but then it kicks up, and oh man, the last 4 episodes or so are just some cool stuff, man.
All right, let's talk about our player of the week. Yeah. And actually, it's a week and a day or so because we also included yesterday.
We threw an extra day in there,
which was the Giants beating the Phillies late after Logan Webb pitched a great game, picked up went 8. Unfortunately, Kyle Schwarber hit like a golf ball off a sinker over the fence. Yeah. And so it was tie game. They pulled him out, and then the Giants won with Casale 2-run homer in the 10th, which was awesome. Babe Casale. So we added an extra day for to our usual player of the week, but give your nominations, and then we'll talk about who is the winner.
Yeah, that was a fun one because I got to work in the garage, and I put a TV in the garage last year during the World Series. So I haven't had a chance to really use it during the Giants season. So I got to, kind of clean out the garage and watch the Giants game and drink some cold brew while I was out there yesterday. So that was an excellent game. And just real quick, the Giants are making a pitching change here. Jacob Junis goes 4 1/3, 3 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 2.68 ERA. He is the, I'd say, MVP of the pitching staff at this point of the season, just because of the fill-in job he's done.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
he's going to be one of those guys. When DeSclafani comes back, they're going to move him back to the bullpen. But I don't know. I feel like he's like better than what I expected of DeSclafani so far.
Yeah, that or what you're going to get is a injury to one of the other pitchers, a mystery injury to one of the other pitchers to give them a break, because what did the Giants say at the beginning of the season? We need 162 game pitching staff, not a 5-man rotation. So give somebody else who's having some arm deadness a little bit of a break, and Jacob Junis can just kind of keep going. All right, let's take a look at our player of the week. And we got third place, Mike Yastrzemski, Baby Yaz, Manian Devil, 438 WOBA, 292 average, 1 home run, 2 ribs, 8 runs scored. The guy's getting on base at a crazy rate.
I think he's at 50-50. I'm talking about percentages when it comes to strikeouts and home and Ks.
Yeah, for sure. And he had a 27% walk rate this week, and I think he only had like an 8% strikeout rate. So that kind of evened things out going in, because he struggled at the beginning of the season, but he's been on a tear the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
He got 0% of the vote, but that tells you. 438 WOBA, 292 average.
Yeah,
scored 8 runs, 0% of the vote. So that tells you the next few guys were just on fire. Coming in second place, Evan Longoria, 622 WOBA. We haven't seen that high of a WOBA in a player of the week in a long time. 364 average, 5 home runs, 9 ribs, 6 runs. He is on a tear.
He hit a home run. I think it was it the second game against Cincinnati, or was it the third game against Cincinnati? He kind of just like threw his hands. It was like the inside out
Saturday,
jack. Yeah. The inside out jack. I was like, man, that dude's pretty strong.
Yeah, he and when he gets hot, we know how streaky he is too. Once he gets hot, man, that's helping the Giants win ball games right now. So Longo came in second place, 40% of the vote, 60% of the vote. The great Joc Pederson.
So he hits 3 jacks in a game, hits another jack the next day, gets slapped in the face for maybe being a slightly devious fantasy football player.
Yeah.
And you should have put that in his stats when we were picking.
You know what? I should have put 1 slap rate, 100%. I should have put that. But he had a 621 WOBA, 409 batting average, 4 home runs, 13 ribs, 5 runs scored, and a very minuscule 7.4% K rate in a week. That's what you like to see, man. Was not striking out, putting the barrel on the ball, and crushing bombs, crushing hearts, crushing Tommy Pham's hand.
Yeah, what if he just he just took it and he like gritted his teeth, and Tommy Pham was like,
poor Tommy Pham. That guy. He's got talk about Napoleon complex.
He's a big dog, man. He's a big
dog.
That's
true. I begged and pleaded on Twitter that day for MLB The Show. They have a if you're familiar with the show, I know Jeremy is. If Jeremy's listening, I know Jeremy's also familiar with the show. If you play the Big Dog program, you get some big dog cards. So I begged MLB The Show to please make Tommy Pham a big dog card. You don't have to make him like an 80 or like a 90 overall and 95. Just make him what he is, like a 70 overall, but a big dog, because and then underneath you could put in Vegas. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do a different version of the Haters War.
Is this the sexy version?
Haters Watch. Yeah. Haters Watch. Gabe Kapler, after the really terrible thing that happened in Texas at the elementary school, Gabe said that he was not going to stand for the national anthem. Not stand. He wasn't going to be in the ballpark for the national anthem. He's going to stay in the clubhouse. And that was just his way of, protesting what's going on with gun laws and with, what people are really caring about these days when it comes to politicians. Steve Kerr, we mentioned Steve Kerr and his speech before, not even a speech, was a reaction to a question when it happened. And so your good friend, I'm going to say your good friend because I don't like him at all, Tony La Russa.
Not my good friend.
Said, and I'm paraphrasing, it was something to the effect of that, he agrees with Kapler, but he doesn't believe the way to show his frustration is with the national anthem. It's so funny, like, and I can't tell if they're being honest and truthful or if this is just a side of the fence argument, but I saw a couple of people who were just so adamant that the national anthem is just like the best way you could possibly show that you love the country. And I was like, wow, are they joking or do they really feel that way? It's interesting because, like, you never know sometimes with some of these fanatical people. But what did you think of that whole Gabe Kapler thing?
Oh, I got a lot to say, but I'll pare it down. I'm good with Cap doing that. If I don't know, sometimes I wish I had the guts to do the same. And you're in a crowded ballpark. I wish I had the guts to just sit down and not stand up during the national anthem because it's a song. It's not, it doesn't have anything to do with the military. It doesn't have anything to do with veterans. It doesn't have anything to do with anything else other than it's the country's song. When you go by a bald eagle, do you stand by it and salute? No, you don't. I mean, that's our national bird, but it's a symbol. It's symbolic. And I'm fine, totally fine with what Cap did. I'm kind of in the middle when it comes to the whole gun law thing. I absolutely, please have, if you need to have one to protect yourself, there are not enough police in the country to protect you. So if you needed to protect yourself, absolutely. But there's things like high capacity, this and that we just don't need. The military and the police need it, but we don't, as private citizens, need, probably 90% of the stuff that's out there. I totally respect what he's doing, and that's what this country's all about. And protest any way you want to that's peaceful, that sends a message, and I love it. And I'd like to see more of it. I find it funny that here we are screaming about, stand up for the national anthem. That's what it's about. This is to show you love your country. Yet here we are on, when voting day comes around and election day, and we can't get the day off of work. We got to run to the polls at 5:15 when we get off of work and stand in line for 5 hours with everybody else. But we can't get that day off. That's probably the most patriotic thing you can do is vote. And so if you have if you want to have a voice, if you want to get out there, if you want to say something about your laws, if you want to say something about who's in charge, you make sure you register and you make sure you get out there and vote. And so I'd love for that to be a national holiday, so every citizen in the United States can get out there and say, this is what I want, and not be held back from it. Kick off on a tangent there, but yeah, I love what Cap's doing, and Tony La Russa is just a crusty old man. I'll leave it at that.
and I was very surprised to see him take that stand because, as we know, he's had issues with players of, I guess, usually it was with the Hispanic descent, the Latin players he would have some issues with, but when he rejoined the White Sox, there was some frustration with his old school mentality. And I had just assumed that some of the players just thought he was kind of a racist old man. But that has been smoothed over. He has said that he's going to change. He said that he's more open-minded. But when this Kaepernick thing happened, gosh, it's been how many years now? 2015 or something when that happened. I very much dug into the story because it was there was a lot of people very quick to be down on him for doing that. And, why is he doing it? What are the reasons? Blah, 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 blah. And so I really just studied and looked for everything I could find about his reasoning. And I was 100% behind him or behind the folks who were affected by, what he was standing for, because that's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
And so what it did is it led me to, look into other things in which people were protesting. And Tupac Shakur, he had this saying, at least it's a saying that is attributed to him, that I really liked. And he said, this is kind of like the stay woke era of stuff before the conservatives just flipped that word and made it their own. But he said, real eyes, REALEYES, realize, REALIZE, real lies, REALLIES. And that stuck out with me because, Tupac's a poet in a sense, being a rapper, but this stuff's been going on for so long, right?
Yeah.
And so whether you're protesting racism or whether you're protesting gun violence, like, it's just, if you're on the other side of that and you're angry for somebody without a solution as to how else they could solve that problem or how we can, because essentially all you're doing is you're just bringing something to light that people may not understand or may not know about.
Right.
And so, all power to those who do that, and to those who have a problem with it. I would say you're telling on yourself for having a problem with it, because those are the people who we're trying to point out,
Yeah, exactly. And again, I'll say it again, man. And I've never been such I wouldn't call myself a political person. I've always kind of shied away from it. I worked in the news. I just kind of did my thing and kept my head.
And to be fair,
Yeah.
you also live in somewhere that's a little less liberal than you are.
Yeah, and it's a liberal state because of Clark County and Washoe County. Those are the two biggest counties. So Clark County, Vegas, 4 hours from LA. A huge influx of Southern California people who live there. Washoe County, 4 hours from the Bay Area. Huge influx of Bay Area people who live here. I'm one of them. And so those are the two biggest counties. Other than that, the other counties really don't count. So it's those two counties that vote. So this has been a blue state the last couple of elections, but it goes back and forth because, again, you have all the outlying counties that are very, very red, very red. So you get a little bit of fighting back and forth. And so I just, I have preached this the last couple of months, that if you want to do something, if something is bothering you, if I mean, these gun laws and what is happening in our country, do your research and get to the polls. I mean, absentee ballots, mail-in ballots, go to the poll, make it happen, do whatever you have to do, but please do your research. I've said, from this day forward, I will do my research, and I will absolutely, I vow to never vote for anybody who doesn't give a damn about gun laws from here on out. If they just don't care and they just want to brush them aside, I will not be voting for that person. I don't care if they're red or blue or what they are. I'm a nonpartisan voter because I can go either way. I really could, but it depends on what's good for humanity, what's good for my family, and what saves lives, and what's going to keep us around the longest.
Yeah,
that's important to me. So,
all right, so let's talk about one last thing before we get out of here. You were actually doing some heavy statistical analysis and research.
Look at me.
And
I told you I was going to do research from now on.
And you took a look at 3 pitchers, and you wanted to see what the difference, if there was any difference in how they were pitching from last year to this year, even if their back of the baseball card stats said so.
Yeah.
So first person you took a look at was Tyler Rogers. Now, we talked about Tyler Rogers last week as someone who actually, I don't even know if we did last week, because it was during the Mets series where the Mets came back in that game where he got bonked around.
We talked about it on Twitter.
Yes.
Or no, I'm sorry, on text.
On text.
You and I and Hot Take Bry, we were talking about, has Tyler Rogers run his course? Has the gimmick ended?
Yes.
Right. But look at those numbers. 2021, 2022. This is okay. Now these are numbers up to this point of the season. Yes, we started a little bit late, but they've crammed in some extra games. Last year at this point, he only pitched in 6 more games than he did this year at this point. Look at the WAR, 0.2, same both years. Last year,
exit velocity is ridiculous. He has even
look
less.
at that.
Now, some of that is because this ball might be a little more dead than it was last year, but
but also he throws a mushy ball.
Yeah.
So I mean, he throws stuff that you're not going to barrel up. Look,
the human humidor should be his name.
I like that. The human. look at his fastball spin rate.
Yeah.
But bottom percentile in all of the major leagues.
Whiff percentage, fastball velocity.
All those things are low, but look at his average exit velocity. That is the tops in the league. You are not in hard hit percentage, 99th percentile. You are not crushing the ball against Tyler Rogers. So let's look at his FIP. His FIP is better this year than it was last year, but his ERA is 5 points higher this year. So that just tells you bad luck is happening to Tyler Rogers.
Yes.
He's the same guy.
He got dinked and dunked that game.
Yeah, and he's going to get dinked and dunked. It's going to even out. Giants are missing some of their offensive or some of their defensive guys right now. Duggar, Slater, Brandon Belt. Tommy LaStella, not the greatest defender, but still just to have that extra defense out on the field, that helps. And that's how you can tell by that FIP. Yeah, that exit velocity, 84 miles an hour last year, 82 this year. Look at his barrel percentage last year, 0%. And then this year, 1.5. So Tyler Rogers is the same guy. Don't fear. When he comes in, don't freak out. Everybody freaked out every time he even came in last year. He was having a great season. So yeah, don't worry about him.
All right. Next guy is Harleen Garcia.
I like to call him Harleen the Dream Garcia. Harleen. So if you look at Harleen, and I picked 3 guys that were mainstays in the bullpen at the beginning of last year, mainstays in the bullpen at the beginning of this year. I'm not going to pick Mac Cheese because he's been a little bit of dead arm issues this year, down in AAA working things out, and then came up, and because of some lineup card issues, tried to pitch on Friday night, but could not pitch on Friday night. Was not legal to pitch on Friday night, so we did not see him. But Harleen Garcia, his WAR, a little bit better this year. Last year, negative 0.1 at this point. This year, 0.2. His ERA went from 4.15 to 0 this year. He hasn't given up a run yet.
Still?
An earned run. No,
Wow.
Still not yet.
Wow.
His FIP, look at that, cut in half almost. 4.61 last year, 2.89 this year. Exit velocity, about the same. Nothing's changed. Barrel percentage, down this year.
And just today, he got out of a jam and got the next 2 outs, struck out Segura, and got Bryce Harper to ground out to an inning.
Yeah, here he is, just set tied a record with Joe Nathan for the most consecutive games without an earned run to start the season.
He is the
17
dream, man.
games. Look at that, Harleen the Dream. But if you look at his what are these called again? Your baseball savant numbers. His average exit velocity is only in the 30th percentile, so people are hitting him hard. Hard hit percentage only in the 21st percentile. Then xWOBA 71, xERA 71st percentile. and then a fastball spin, only 24th percentile, whiff percentage, only 42, fastball velocity, only 44. But he's getting some chases, chase rate 64, 64th percentile. So again, same guy. So you probably can't expect that ERA to stay where it's at. But of course, we talk about the intangibles, right? The intangible is the clutch, and Harleen Garcia is definitely a clutch guy. We saw him come on clutch in the second half of last season, and then kind of carrying that over to this season.
All right, last guy here who we're going to talk about.
Yeah, Jose Alvarez.
Alvarez.
Yeah, another mainstay in the bullpen. 17 appearances last year at this point, 18 this year. ERA near the same. WAR near the same. FIP near the same. Everything's very similar. Barrel percentage is up a little bit, so he's catching more of the play. Guys are putting the bat on the ball and hitting them a little bit harder this year. But again, if you look at his hard hit percentage, 90th percentile, so he's keeping guys from hitting. And I think hard hit is 95 miles an hour and above.
Mm-hmm.
Average exit velocity up 82nd percentile, chase rate 78th percentile. That's that nasty slider that he's got. Everything else really, really low. Those numbers are very scary. The rest of those numbers are very poor and very scary. But again, same guys last year. So I wanted to just kind of bring those three guys up because I hear a lot about, well, the bullpen isn't holding up their end of the bargain like they did last year. But they really are. It's just I feel looking at these three guys and kind of the rest of the bullpen, you're getting more bad luck, a little less great defense than you had last year. And again, you miss Buster Posey, awesome defensive catcher. Probably could have won the Gold Glove again last year if it had not been for, I think Yachty won it, right? Yeah, because the Cardinals had like 4 or 5 guys. So don't worry. Bullpen is fine. They're doing what they normally do. I think it's just a matter of getting some of those defensive guys back. I think the Giants are about to go on a tear. They're in Philly, win game 1. They're up in game 2. Bullpen has it right now. Brebbia, who's got I think he's got like a 0.6 WAR. So far,
he just gave up 2 hits, runners on first and third with 0 outs.
Nobody out. So we spoke too soon about Brebbia, but Brebbia has been he's been having a really good season.
I think he's been good.
Good.
Almost to the point where he might be able to pitch a little bit later in the game too.
Yeah, definitely. And if you look at him this year, he's 0.6 WAR, 2.49 ERA, 1.89 FIP. Look at some of his StatCast numbers.
Yeah, he's leaving breaking ball up. He just gave up another hit, another run. I imagine they're going to take him out.
Probably, yeah. His barrel percentage is 5%. So again, today an anomaly. One of those things that's going to happen. It's going to even things out. So,
all right. Well, the Giants have the rest of this series with Philadelphia in Philadelphia, and then they go to Miami to face the Marlins. Yeah. The Marlins are one of the lower teams in the National League, though it didn't matter when they went to Cincinnati and lost 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Cincinnati is probably the second or third worst team in the National League, and they beat Rodon kind of like convincingly in that first game. I was surprised.
Yeah.
And then the Giants tried to fight back in game 2, but then won game 3. So thankfully they got 1 out of there, but hopefully they do better against the Marlins. I think they should beat Philly too. Like there's Philly's no great shakes. So they should, you're going on the road, so that's tough, but they should at least be 500 or better on this road trip, just based on how these other teams are playing. Giants, if the season ended today, I think they are the 3rd wild card behind St. Louis and San Diego. So that is, even though they haven't been great in their last 10 games, they are still in the upper echelon when it comes to the wild card. And yeah, I'd love to see them, really get some games here and kind of, show that they're better than a 500 ball team, which they've been playing most recently.
I'm kind of curious off topic if when you land in Miami, Are they playing Will Smith's Welcome to Miami in the airport, like just 24/7? They should. They probably should. That or Pitbull, at least. Because if I go to Miami, I expect it to be Pitbull and Disney like 24/7.
Yeah,
that's just me.
What about Flo Rida?
I mean, you can go with that too. Yeah. It was at the is he the apple bottom jeans guy? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
there you go.
So play that song in the airport, please.
All right, so that'll be it from here. We will be back next week on Monday, and then we're probably going to come back on the following weekend because you're going to be out of town soon. So
yeah,
but we'll be back next week on Monday in our normal time slot. And this is just kind of everyone uses the term inside baseball for like behind the scenes thing. I don't know why, but I'll use it for this podcast because it is baseball. But we've had trouble live streaming to our Facebook pages. And our Facebook pages, have a good amount of follows, more than the YouTube now, because we're kind of building up the YouTube. And so for a couple of shows there, we weren't able to stream to Facebook, but now we can. It looks like, at least as far as right now, they may screw with me again because Facebook's kind of weird when it comes to support.
Even though it has nothing to do with Elon Musk because it's Facebook, can I blame him?
Well, the Twitter thing works fine. Like Twitter's
so I guess
Twitter's like you can stream anything you possibly want. Like we don't even care. But Facebook, we just have more people who have been paying attention to us over the years. So that's why I want to stream there. But anyways, we are Brebbia just almost drilled bomb.
Brebbia is still in, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We'll be back next week, and hopefully the Facebook thing doesn't get screwed up again because I like streaming to Facebook. That's where a lot of our people are. All right. So for Brad, I am Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.
Peace.